Today, we step into the world of one of the greatest masterpieces in human literature, Don Quixote, by Miguel de Cervantes. This is considered the very first modern novel in history, first published in 1605. This video will focus on Book 1, where the legendary image of the knight tilting at windmills was born. The story is at once humorous, tragic, satirical, and filled with human philosophy. 1. The origins and madness of Alonso Quijano. The story opens in a small village in La Mancha. There lived a poor nobleman named Alonso Quijano, unmarried, childless, leading a simple life with only a maid and a niece. He was not remarkable, not wealthy, owning only a few acres of land, but he had a peculiar habit, an obsession with knightly romances. He read day and night, even selling land to buy more books. Page after page consumed his mind, until he could no longer distinguish reality from fantasy. To him, the world became a kingdom of magic and adventures. And then, as if compelled by destiny, he decided he would become a wandering knight. 2. The birth of Don Quixote. He dug out an old suit of armor, rusted and broken, and patched it together, convinced it was fit for a knight. His bony, exhausted horse, once just a farm nag, was renamed Rocinante, a grand name befitting a legendary steed. Alonso Quijano was no more. From now on, he would be known as Don Quixote de la Mancha. And like every knight in the romances, he needed a lady to dedicate his victories to. He chose Aldonza Lorenzo, an ordinary peasant woman, and transformed her in his imagination into Dulcinea del Toboso, a princess, the goddess of his heart. He was ready. A knight of ideals, in a world where knights no longer existed. 3. The first journey. A knight in everyday life. An inn becomes a castle. Don Quixote set off, searching for imaginary enemies. At night, he stopped at a shabby inn, but in his eyes, it was a grand castle. The innkeeper, amused, played along. And so, in the middle of the inn, a mock ceremony of knighthood took place. Don Quixote knelt solemnly, receiving the title, while everyone laughed behind his back, rescuing a shepherd boy, and failing. Later, he saw a boy being beaten by his master. Believing he had found an injustice to correct, Don Quixote forced the man to promise to free the boy. Proud of his deed, he rode away. But once he left, the boy was beaten even more harshly. He thought himself a hero, but the result was bitterly ironic. Returning home, battered, after several misadventures, he was beaten to a pulp, both he and his horse broken. His family, fearing for his sanity, burned his books and hid the rest, hoping to cure him. But the fire of knighthood in Don Quixote's heart had not gone out. 4. The arrival of Sancho Panza. Seeking a squire, he found a poor farmer with a big belly, Sancho Panza. Don Quixote promised, "Follow me, and you shall govern an island." Driven by greed and curiosity, Sancho agreed. Thus, an immortal duo was formed, Don Quixote, living by mad ideals, and Sancho Panza, living by his stomach and simple pragmatism. 5. The legendary adventures. The battle with the windmills. Before them stood great windmills, but Don Quixote saw only giant monsters. Shouting, he charged. Sancho cried, "They are only windmills!" But too late. The sails struck Don Quixote, hurling him to the ground. This is the immortal scene, the symbol of fighting illusions. Freeing the prisoners. Another time, they met a chain gang of prisoners. Don Quixote believed they were innocent victims. He attacked the guards and set them free. But the criminals, thieves and murderers, turned on him, beat him and Sancho, and fled. Princesses and castles that never were. Every inn became a castle in his eyes. Every serving girl became a princess. Every wineskin seemed a monster, and he slashed it to pieces. Always the same pattern. Don Quixote fighting fiercely, Sancho struggling to explain, while the world mocked them. 6. Don Quixote and Dulcinea. Though he never met Aldonza again, Don Quixote praised her endlessly as Dulcinea. Every deed, every word, he dedicated to her name. Reality and illusion collided, creating a portrait both ridiculous and touching. 7. Sancho Panza, the pragmatist pulled into a dream. At first, Sancho followed for the promise of an island. He was practical, always complaining. But as time passed, even Sancho began to catch his master's madness. At times, he truly believed he might one day become a governor. Slowly, the two bonded. One a dreamer, one a realist, together forming an unforgettable pair. 8. The climax. Defeat upon defeat. The further Don Quixote went, the more he was beaten, mocked, and humiliated. Yet he never lost faith. In the eyes of others, he was a fool. In his own eyes, he was a true knight, fighting for noble ideals. This is the tragedy of a man who dared to live his dreams in a world ruled by practicality. 9. The end of Book 1. After countless failures, Don Quixote collapsed. His family and friends tricked him into returning home, locking him in a cage, pretending it was magic, transporting him back to his castle. Don Quixote accepted it calmly, believing it was merely another trial. Book 1 ends here, the image of the delusional knight carried home like a madman. Yet the ideals in his heart had never truly died. 10. The meaning of Book 1, Satire. Cervantes mocked the outdated chivalric romances and the hollow values of his age. Symbolism. Don Quixote embodies dreams and ideals. Sancho Panza represents everyday reality. Together, they reflect the duality within every human being. Philosophy. Humans need ideals to live, even when those ideals are mad. So, is Don Quixote a madman or a hero, a laughingstock of the world, or a man brave enough to live a dream others dare not? That is the immortal beauty of Don Quixote, a work that has endured for more than 400 years, heralding the birth of the modern novel and still making us reflect today.